Okay, I've been seeing a couple more videos with the guys in the archery field shooting these polymer broadheads from full steel, and they're showing the same thing that I've already said. These things, after a certain distance and in certain windage, are very, very inconsistent. However, they're awesome for what their intended uses for is to hunt with. Um, these are very, very good for getting into the target and destroying all the tissue and incapacitating the target quickly. So, but the thing is, and I just watched a guy do this. He's trying to shoot a basic target at hay bales at 30 yards, and he's not getting any luck with any consistency. He has to maintain his um, hold a little differently than what he would on the previous arrow. So these will drop fast. Do you believe these are 175 grain? No, 150 grain. 150 grain. The other ones, there's a smaller version, it's 125 grain. I'll have to double check that, but I'll put the link in the description below and you guys can figure it out from there if that's what you want to do. These are really good for hunting. They will penetrate wood up to about right here. I've done it. I've got video. I've got to edit, and you'll see that they'll penetrate a solid 2x6 up to about right here. So, or actually, I think it was a 1x6. Yeah, it was probably 2x6, 2x6, 1x6, but it was big enough to where it almost went through the entire thing as far as depth. So probably a 1x6, but about that much of the arrow was stuck in it, and I actually broke these parts off, and I just glued them onto the black um, arrows that I shot them with, and that's where they are to this very day. One of them actually is broken off on the end, and it's still good. It's still you can still use it because I hit that same wood plank. So these are types of arrowheads I like. They're not accurate past 20 yards. It's really hard to get into the 20-yard target without spraying the range down to begin with. They're very good for up close and personal. You're talking to the actual combat range, anyways, from 12 to 15 yards. Combat distance, I mean, is where you normally would engage your target. If you're hunting deer, if you're hunting predatory animals, you're going to be within 15 yards. Cats, coyotes, the like. We do have packs of wild dogs running around here in rural areas of Indiana, off the leash. So they come on your property and try and chew up your chickens or your livestock. They're fair game, just like a coyote would be. A coy dog is no different. They have no discipline, and they are very dangerous, especially to small children. So that being said, you want the best possible product you can get that you don't have to shoot a gun. You don't have to go out and blast the entire countryside full of ammunition. You can use these, and it's a little safer for the area, especially if you actually get into a situation where you have neighbors that are close by, and a ricochet would be a bad idea. These don't ricochet like that. If it hits a rock, it's going to break. But if it hits wood, it'll go into the wood. But your intent is to practice and get good enough to where you can shoot into the target. So now I'll go into another broadhead I haven't really seen used yet. These are single bevel, cold steel as well. This one I broke, impacting another arrow. So what happened was I tried to glue it back together. It worked for a minute, and then it just wouldn't hang on. So the next time I'll put this into an arrow shaft. The next time I get a chance, I'll just glue it in there and it'll stay in there. And when it breaks, it breaks. I throw it all away. So that's what I'm going to do with this one. The other two are this comes in a pack of three. I bought 12 of these. Um, I've got two attached. I do not have this one attached, but these come in packs of threes and they're pretty good. This is polymer. This is all plastic right here, glued onto this, stainless steel arrowhead, but they're serrated, so they're good for cutting. This is going to be just like a hacksaw going into the body and into the bone, probably cutting through the bone at distance. So 45 and 40 or 45 pound pull is the minimum you want to use for stuff like that. But if you can get a 60 or better, that's going to be a lot better for these types of arrows because they're definitely going to penetrate better with more speed. Speed is penetration. This is your whistling broadhead again. I've done this before. You've seen videos on this. If you've seen any of my videos, you'll know what this is about. These do not penetrate. These are only good for goofing off with target practice. They'll go into the target up to about right here. Unless the target's already compromised, they won't go past this little bubble here where you put your air, your whistle, and all that good stuff into. They're not going to be something I would use for hunting or self-defense. I would use this if I see something and I just want it gone, a coyote or whatever. I would shoot this over its head, basically. That would, it's like, oh, wait a minute, here's something's getting close. So, then you got your field points that I normally have one or two of these right here. So you're looking at this one here. It's a little bit smoother, and this one here is more coned. And I've hit solid targets with these, or they went through a target and hit a rock. So I really should file those down, smooth those out, but it's no big deal either way. They're still going to work just as well. This one here, I still haven't used. I haven't shot these yet. I ain't not or put any of these on an arrow shaft yet. So these are small game. It's just something that I thought was a cool novelty. It's pretty much just like this. It's a novelty thing to play with. But I'm gonna try these out on the gummy bear ballistics gel thingy. Grab one of those up and shoot it and see how well the penetration does. These are for small game hunting. So they got a little final point in there. It's not sharp or anything. Push on it. It's really not painful at all. You can tell it's there, but that's about it. I want to see if those cut or this will penetrate in any way, shape, or form on a 40 to 45 pound pole. That's my test medium. If that does well, then it's going to do well on everything else you got going on. If you got a 60 or 70 pound or whatever you got going on. So, but these are the ones I'm seeing people shoot a little bit more. Quite a few guys are getting in there and trying to figure these out. They're just outside of 20 yards. They're just not worth it. I mean, yeah, you can figure it out if you tune these. Like I said, I've got a tuning video. I'll explain this. Tune this up with a knock, and you should have more consistency in shooting at 20, 25, maybe even 30 yards. But outside of that, you really don't have reason to. These are not super long range target arrows like if you use this. You can figure that out at 50 yards, 75 yards. You could try and shoot 100 yards with this if you want to. The chances are you actually hitting the target is going to be very, very slim, as opposed to this one. You could probably manage it. Okay. These will take wind and deviate. These not so much, but those two holes kind of make you question, okay, so what was the design purpose in that? And later on, I'll just break that off and make it into a necklace. I don't know. That would seem pretty dangerous because you end up cutting yourself. Anyway, I digress. Practice, keep practicing, practice more, breathe, understand what you got going on with your arrows, your arrowheads, your shafts. You can go in and say, hey, my shaft and arrow and everything it weighs 300 or 3,050, 500 grains and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, that's not going to do you any good. That information is worthless unless you're in competition shooting and there's restrictions or specifications on what you're shooting. When you're out there in the field, you're doing stuff, it means nothing. So learn this stuff, get into what we're saying, understand it, because knowing that these things don't go out very far accurately, consistently, is going to be the key to your survival, as opposed to this. I'm going to drop one at 50 and see what happens to it. And I'm going to put it inside the ballistics, gel head. So or a can of beer or a bottle of water. I'll set that out at 50 and see what happens. These should be able to accurately go out that far on most situations, but that'll be 60-pound bow. That won't be a 40-pound. 40-pound is not really made for that kind of thing. You can just launch stuff out there and hope for the best. But 60 or better, it's going to be a lot more accurate out at longer ranges, pushing that out to about 190 feet per second, which is good. So, all righty. Like, share, subscribe. Stay safe, stay alive, practice, 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 breathe, and you'll get better.